we are. Welcome everybody to the Completely Inappropriate Podcast. I am Tony and this is Mr. Frank.
Hello.
We have dubbed you Mr. Frank. I hope you don't mind.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, Frank is a last name also.
Well, you're just Mr. Frank. It's just showing the respect that you're deserved of. I have no idea, but I'm trying to boost your profile here. I'm trying to make you seem like a more reasonable human being for our social media.
And I wield the hammer of respect.
I don't think you're allowed to hold a hammer. I just don't trust you.
Yeah.
No weapons in your hand. Ever. We'll get to that eventually. So, Mr. Frank Tobias here. We have decided today we are going to do what we said we were going to do last time and actually focus on you.
It's all about me.
Yeah, let me shut up a little bit longer so that you can actually answer a question in full.
Or two.
Let's start with one. So, let's keep that right up on your sexy little lips there.
Right in the mouth.
Right in the kisser. Kisser good. So, Mr. Tobias. Now, we spoke last time about your name. So you mentioned that it was Hebrew?
Yeah.
Is that right? Now, who in your family is Hebrew? I guess that would be your father.
What, that's a Jew?
I don't know. He's got a Hebrew last name. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty... I was telling my brother before I got him into this whole ancestry thing how blood dilutes. So, yeah, in my...
Yeah, as we screw around, only so much of our DNA gets passed on.
Yeah, and what happened? Yeah, so in regards to practicing the Jewish religion, I don't know of anyone that does,
My ex-bosses used to, actually. The boy I used to work at for a couple years.
Oh.
Yeah, they were practicing. I think the wife married into it. The husband was the Edelstein, so imagine.
Last names are carried on.
So is anybody in your family practicing?
Not that I know of.
Is anybody in your family religious at all? Your direct family
are. Oh, for my fucking
your parents,
nuclear
sisters,
family?
yeah.
No, just by fucking convenience, I guess. Like, hey, that's not very Christian of you.
Oh, just socially.
Yeah.
So the social Christians. Yeah, we'll touch on them.
I guess we can call it that, yeah.
A time or two. I call them social Christians because their Lord knows that there's no way that they're acting like Christians 90% of the time until they've walked in and walked out of church for the good 30 minutes before. Like, don't eat. You ever hear that? Like, Catholic faith is like, don't eat before church because you're supposed to have fasted for at least an hour before receiving the communion. Huh. Yeah, you're not supposed to eat before the communion. It's supposed to be like your first
I was an altar boy, and I'm saying here, I didn't know that.
I was like the representative of the Diocese of Brownsville for this whole thing in Laredo, Texas one year.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I was just chosen as a representative because I asked all the right questions and I cared enough to try and learn, and then I totally abandoned that.
And that's how you became atheist, right? Because you fucking kept asking questions.
Yeah, well...
And your curiosity wasn't fed, and you had to feed it yourself.
I would yes. To get into that, that's a whole story, so we gotta stay on you today. I'm making it a point to not get distracted with my own selfishness.
Or we could just let the conversation flow.
No. We're gonna let it flow right on back into you.
Okay, direct the current to me.
Yes, the waters can flow freely, but we'll build a dike and a dam and have that redirected right on back to you. Hey, don't be misogynist.
I'm not misogynist.
That's completely inappropriate.
I've never heard dike used as a non...
Well, there's a dike, there's a dam, it's a water flow controlling...
Slur?
Thing. I don't know. Well, yes, it's a slur in other context. So where's your dad from?
My father is from the shithole town right across the fucking border, Reynosa.
No kidding. So he's an immigrant.
Yes. Well,
for lack of a better term.
He was an immigrant until he got naturalized back in 90.
Did you get naturalized just from being here? What, over so many years? How does that work?
Yeah, that helps, and you just take a test. This was back in the day.
Oh, it is just a simple testing procedure.
It used to be simple.
Now I know it's a lot.
Yeah, more. Now they're saying that every year they say, oh, it's going to get a lot harder, and I.
From what I understand, it's not harder.
It's at a sixth
might
grade
be
level.
more. The problem is that the number of applicants has gone up so dramatically, and admittedly has gone down the last year for the first time in a while.
Yeah, because I took one of those, somebody on the internet machine fucking posted a link to it, like fucking try it out, see if you will pass it, kind of like fucking trying to prove a point that fucking
if you know
the
enough
system
about
is
our
racist. And
it's intense. I've heard it's intense, but it only sounds intense because when you see it on TV, these people are answering questions you don't know because you had a much shittier education on world history or U.S. history than the immigrants that have to come in and actually.
Well, when I took that thing, I only got one question wrong, and that's because it was saying fucking the Constitution grants us fucking rights, blah blah blah, and I'm like, the Constitution doesn't grant rights. That's accepting that the government grants rights.
The government accepts certain unalienable rights.
Yeah,
but
unalienable being the key word
is a very particular word.
Yeah,
and that it's
conveniently fucking leave that out. Not leave that out, but forget the meaning behind it.
Well, I mean, no, but what's an unalienable right? One that is impossible to go against.
Yeah,
and that's just not that's what that is a social contract between each other within the country to agree that this is an actual thing. There are no unalienable rights provided by as it says, unalienable rights provided by God, right?
Yeah. So like natural rights.
Right, but there are no natural rights. Is me being able to go to my neighbor, stab him in the chest, and cut off his flesh.
No, because you're taking away his life.
No,
you have no right to that because your neighbor has a right to life.
No, it's an unalienable right according to the word for word Constitution. Now, I take umbrage with that because there's no such thing as an unalienable right. What it is a socially constructed agreement between us that you shouldn't do that. Because morally, which is also a human concept, not even a human concept, but a social concept, because we group ourselves together in such a way that we're supposed to do this for the betterment of the society at large. But if I'm just a private family, and there's another private family I want to take the land of. Back in the day, it wasn't an unalienable right for us to just come to the United States territory, kill all the Indians. There was no unalienable rights then. It was only once we decided, all right, we've been fucking enough with our own fucking people. Well, let's stop allowing this. We have unalienable rights to survive now.
Indigenous people have been killing each other over land fucking far before the white man came over.
Yeah, if the problem is, I mean, I just think it needs to be rewritten. It needs to be updated for the terms that we use now. For Christ's sakes, doe. Homer Simpson's doe is in the Webster's dictionary.
Yeah, that's one thing that fucking pisses me off.
The word literally no longer literally means literally. It was in the movie. In the vernacular.
Yeah.
It is completely acceptable to say, oh my God, I'm literally dying of starvation right now.
Yeah, it's like the fucking dictionary is supposed to be the fucking authority.
It's supposed to dictate proper speech. It's not supposed to be a slang book.
Yeah, that's what Urban Dictionary is
Urban Dictionary, I was going to say. What's that one online? Yeah. Urban Dictionary, if you have a separate one for slang terms. Like back in the day, it was called Ebonics, right? Ebonics was all the slang terms. Well, supposedly, but they mixed in every other races.
In the early 90s, you could actually major in
Major in Ebonics, isn't that
not
insane?
anymore?
Oh no! Now you can major in social media. Now you can major in podcasts. Did you know now they're offering podcast communications at colleges now?
Yeah, but it's a communications degree,
right? But it's specific in those areas. So, like, if you're doing a podcasting degree, what are the chances are that you're going to be accepted to a theater program?
Well, now they have
unless you're doing
titled,
just like audio technician,
fucking social media manager.
Yeah.
And that's for fucking.
And it's just somebody sitting on a computer typing away social media in a socially acceptable way, though.
Money, or not shit ton, but they get paid a good chunk of change, and fucking it's just somebody who's up to date on fucking today. That's not a very
what's socially acceptable, and even that's a constantly changing environment. You can't always keep up with everything that's.
It's not a particular skill. It's more of a fucking habit thing. You know, like fucking not having a life, so you're always on fucking social media and you fucking know how it works. I mean, so then you get a job fucking managing a business.
If you're spending 11
media.
hours a day, like me, like I'm at work at 11 hours a day just listening to podcasts. I'm like, well, I think I've gotten the structure of the shit together in my head already. Let's see if I can put it into practice.
Managing a business's social media. Doesn't this podcast have social media?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Oh, we forgot to do our intro to social media. What do we got? Hold on.
Forgot to do a lot of
Where's the
things.
paper? No, we float into some shit. Listen, guys, if you're interested in following us on social media, we're on Instagram at, what is it? Completely Inapp?
Oh yeah,
no, that's Twitter. Twitter is Completely Inapp.
Completely Inapp.
COMPELIET. I spelled that wrong. We're gonna cut that out.
Whatever.
Completely Inapp. 1PINAP. At Twitter. Then we got Instagram at CIPod S1. Facebook at Completely Inappropriate Podcast.
Completely
Frank and
Inappropriate
Tony?
Podcast. Yeah.
Or Frank Tony.
Tony Frank is the name of the fucking asshole on social media.
I always
because
get that backwards.
it's you, Tony, and me, Frank. And, like
Frank
I said,
is a better last name than Tony.
Yeah, Frank is. And there's an actor named Tony Frank.
What was that guy from The Punisher?
Travolta?
No, Frank something.
Frank Castle?
Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite Frank of all time, and I know several. You're creeping up past him, though, only because you're actually on my podcast.
Well, they do say I'm super creepy.
He's not creepy, dude. He's creepy. Well, you're not creepy.
Well, that's what I say. But,
just
but
socially inept at
no,
things
yeah,
at times.
and then I accepted that creepy is objective.
Creepy is subjective.
Yeah, one of the two.
I mean, you can object to somebody's creepiness.
Yeah, because it's like fucking. It's what you are
It could be your
uncomfortable
objective
with.
to be creepy.
Fucking deep inside, that's what you don't accept of yourself deep inside. That's what you find creepy.
What if you're fine with everything inside and just allow it to flow?
Then there's nothing creepy.
So it's just subjective to the person experiencing the creep.
Yeah, like me, fucking.
So creep.
There's nothing.
Tell me, what is your mom like? We got way off the topic.
Oh yeah, my mother.
So we got through your dad a little bit. Not even. Wait.
Yes.
So your
that
dad.
he's a fucking immigrant and he fucking naturalized and it was. Back
How do you
in the
meet
day.
your mother?
Through my grandmother. Funny enough. Up in you're gonna be like,
Mija, I met this wonderful man. You have to meet him. He's perfect for you.
yeah. So this
don't know what
this is
accent that
gonna
was,
start
but it
making
worked.
a lot of sense to you, fucking. Once I get into it. Okay, so apparently my father and my grandmother were fucking coworkers. Right? And my
Little workplace
father.
Nicky.
No. My father was. They were. What the fuck were they doing?
I don't know.
They were like
You kind of got to tell me that one.
ironing clothes. Is what I understood.
Everybody did factory work.
Yeah,
my
it was
grandma, when she
factory
came
work.
from Spain, was doing some factory work.
Yeah, and then what happened? Yeah. So then, apparently, according to what my uncle was telling me, my uncle or my cousin, I don't know, my fucking mother's cousin's husband was telling me is that probably my father was, since he was a fucking wetback, he had nowhere to stay. Apparently, so
You can't say wetback anymore. Wait, is it okay if it's your direct family? Are you allowed to call
I'm
it
saying fucking.
mojados?
I'm using it and I'm describing my father.
What, did he
I
come
think it's pretty
illegally? Did he
fucking okay.
jump over illegally, or did he come
Yeah,
through the
he
right
came here
channels?
illegally, and
Did he come over on a work visa or anything?
No, and
So what brought him by? Do you know? What made him leave?
well, the thing was that his
Oportunidad?
yeah, he was one of 11 children.
Dang, what is
Yeah,
it? People
so
back
he
then
had-
just the fecundity rate
didn't
was
have a TV.
outrageous. No TV, no podcasts. Oh, we got into that last time. People are having less sex now than ever before, especially teenagers. It's insane because they get their rocks off every other way. So your dad didn't have that option. He just
Yeah,
had your
so
mother as
it
an
was-
option.
it
She's
was
like,
to-
hey, you look cute. Get over here.
Kind of like apparently it was.
Was he the boss? I feel like
No.
no.
What do you mean the boss?
Like, was he
Like the
her
boss of the
superior?
factory?
No,
No.
was he her superior?
No. They were just fucking coworkers.
No, that's not as fun.
Yeah,
It's a little
so
nice when
then,
you get to tell that woman what to do
was I saying?
before you even get her knocked up, and then it's
Yeah.
great.
So
It's
what
great.
it was, yeah, because my father was one of 11, and then misandry is what we're experiencing now. Misandry.
Misandry. Oh,
Yeah,
word of the
that's-
day, misandry.
That's fucking the opposite of misogynist. It's a fucking hate towards men.
Oh, just
Yeah.
extreme feminist is misandry.
Yeah,
Essentially,
today's
I mean, if
today's
you
fucking
wanna-
feminism is fucking gynocentrism. That's what it is.
taking a miss. I feel like that's not nearly. I haven't met anybody that's actually like that. I've only heard about people that are actually like that. So these people aren't actually like that. Like even the guys that talk like us, we talk like this amongst guys, but in public, you're not gonna talk like that. You know. Well, you might. You have a little bit less of a filter, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of that.
The fuck was I saying?
Misandry. Okay, yeah.
So since my father was one of 11, he needed money to go to college, whatever, and he wanted to give his fucking mama some fucking dineros. So he came over, ended up in Stephenville, where he worked with
Stephenville, Texas?
Yep, where he worked with my grandmother.
People are so lazy just naming places after themselves. Stephenville. What a terrible name.
No, like down here.
It's like calling it Tony City or
Raymondville.
Ramonville. Mercedes at least doesn't sound like a normal name.
Pretty sure.
But my son actually goes to school with a little girl named Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
My first girlfriend, one of my first girlfriends was a Caucasian named Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Mercedes was named because
my cousin, my niece's middle name is Mercedes. Man, I know a lot more Mercedes than I thought I did in life. It's strange. Anyway, continue.
I'm pretty sure fucking whoever named Mercedes was trying to fucking get some from a girl named Mercedes.
His granddaughter? I think she was like a princess of I don't know. I looked the history of the town up a long time ago.
Yeah.
We'll do another podcast on that. So, Misandry, your father was...
Yeah, they were working they didn't have or he didn't have anywhere to fucking stay, so my grandmother was like, oh, you can spend the night fucking at my place.
What? Was he a looker? Was he just swaggy?
Well, he was pretty fucking scrawny, but he says that...
Well, I'm pretty fucking scrawny.
Yeah,
swag to me.
My father says, no, I wasn't scrawny. I was fucking... built and shit. I'm like, okay, I've seen pictures, but okay.
Hey, man, you don't know what your guy looks like under his shirt. I'm just saying.
I don't know. He probably meant that he was fucking ripped and not buff.
Mesomorphs and which one? Ectomorphs are the skinny one, I think. Mesomorphs are the muscular one.
I don't know. But anyways, and then that's how my fucking parents met. And then apparently...
how many kids did they have? You got siblings...
Yeah, I have one brother and one sister.
How old are they? What's the order of operations here? Do you know which one is the oldest?
Me.
You're the oldest?
Yes.
You have younger siblings? Holy crap, that's terrible. I felt like you'd be the oldest.
I am the oldest.
I mean, I felt like you'd be the youngest, rather. Sorry.
No, because
if anything, the middle child, because you're so batshit.
No, that's just my upbringing.
Like, I'm weird. I'm the oldest son from my father.
I'm a product of my childhood.
I'm so confused. I mean, we're all a product of our childhood to some extent. Like, you just make with it what you will.
Archer. I'm a product of my childhood.
Oh, God, dude, that's such a generic term, though. Like, you can't just say that's a quote from a TV show. Oh, man, I haven't seen, the last season of Archer. Anyway, we're not in our media talk yet. We're still in the first half of you.
Me.
So we've gotten your parents down. Now you said you did a 23andMe.
23andMe.
What do you got there?
I couldn't find the fucking cheap one.
I was having this argument with my dad. I was like, Dad, because whether or not we had any African American,
I think we all do,
ancestry in us, and I've heard it multiple times that we all got a little in our blood, you know. And I think that it just makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying where everybody's predominantly black or everybody's got 9%. Like, what were you, 9%? 7%? That's a large percent. Like, I think
that entire 7% is all in my penis.
No, okay. Maybe in the testicle hanging low. So, now, I heard, what was the Trump will call her Pocahontas? No, and her Native American roots was 1.7 or 0.79.
I think it was 0.4%.
It wasn't even a point, right?
Yeah, they were 1,024th. Yeah, was the number that they used.
I was like, that's less than we have African American. But I don't know anybody in my family that actually has that's even dark complected.
Yeah, the buddyman was telling me fucking yesterday, hey, you could get fucking. That's how I could remember.
Yeah, your Native American ancestry.
Yeah, he was like, you could get fucking a scholarship or
I told
some
you
shit.
that.
Maybe even fucking land. No, but yesterday too.
Might be
this asshole was telling me I could
wonder.
get fucking land because it said.
I heard of that reparations.
53.1% fucking Northern Asian and Native American.
That's such an insanely high number.
Yeah, 51.1% Native American.
I am so excited to check this out for myself. I really got it. I've got to do it. I want to buy it from me and one from my father, just so you can no longer deny.
You can do the fucking 2-pack.
2 for $100, like fucking, free.
Yeah, around.
We're doing a free commercial here for 23andMe here.
Like, I know what Ancestry was during Thanksgiving and
now,
during Christmas.
Hold on. Now, you took a screenshot of that and you sent it to me, and I was taking umbrage with the fact that you mentioned that you had 7% African American history or lineage, but now on that screenshot you said it didn't even mention that, and it goes from like the 50% Native American down to like 3% Eastern European or something.
I'm a fucking spick.
But it just went, yeah, we're all, I mean, we're from deep South Texas. We're about 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe away from the border here at Progreso.
Yeah. So, what was I saying?
And I still haven't picked up the Spanish language proper.
Oh, you'll get there eventually.
It comes in occasionally. I'm 30 years old. My tongue, I'm like my son. So my son is on the spectrum. He has trouble speaking, and his brain processes how to say Spanish words very well. So we say, Jackson, say leche, la leche. Easy, right? Like, and then we said something like, come la papa. And he's like, come la papa. Like, so smooth. And then you tell him, eat your food. Like, I want to eat food. Like, it's insane. Like, he just picks it up so much better. And I'm the exact opposite. I like try and talk Spanish, and I'll be like, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Fine, right? That's Spanish 101. But you say like, where in the world did I leave that screwdriver? I'm at a loss. ¿Dónde está mi pinche cosa? That Texas, what is it? Tex-Mex language. Yeah. That's all I got, man.
¿Dónde está my chingadera?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had people ask me like, "Where are you from?" when I'm talking Spanish. Like, where'd you learn Spanish? Are you from like Spain, or like they think I'm European Spanish because I structure my Spanish sentences the same way you would in English, instead of like how in Spanish it gets like kind of flipped around.
What they call around here, pocho.
We mentioned it last week. What did we just say? It was not coconut. Brown on the outside, white on the inside. Like, not by intent. I've tried to soak in as much.
But at least you're trying.
Abuelita's chocolate as I can, but it just doesn't. It doesn't stay in my system. So
I'll eat that shit raw.
So we established your mom is from. Your dad is from.
Oh yeah,
where's your mom from?
My mother. She was born in Mexico. She's a legal immigrant. She's
work visa.
No. How she got? When she was a baby, they brought her over here.
Oh, so she was. I don't remember what that program's called, but
yeah. But no, she's been living in the U.S. for fucking a little over my years of life, and
I thought you said they brought her over as a baby.
Yeah, they brought her as a baby.
Well, then I was correcting myself, but then you caught me. Your daddy's ball sack when she was over here. What are you talking about? Before she might have been here before I was born. Like, dude, she was a child.
Like she was
pregnant.
She had me at 15. So then I'm over here making all sorts of fucking.
Yeah, either way, you're still 15 out of fucking Mexico before she had you, fucker.
Yeah, and then what happened? Nope. So I'm trying to do math. I don't know. Let's I don't know.
She's been here a while. How old are you? You are so nervous to say your age on here. What is wrong with you?
Look at me. Do I look my fucking age? No, I don't.
Yeah?
No, I don't. Fucking liar.
Because I know your age, and I know what you look like. You look like you at your age.
Okay, what is my age?
But to be fair, you look pretty much exactly the same as like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever.
Yeah, I don't fucking
9 years ago now.
Yeah.
I've known you quite a bit.
That's why I tell people, or I used to tell people, but then we had fucking 4K fucking high resolution fucking TVs that I used to tell people. I used to tell people fucking my father's actually my dad is Johnny Depp, and of course they're like, yeah, bullshit, but he's not.
You're a
and then the whole fucking high resolution bullshit TVs fucking came out, and then you could see his fucking wrinkles, and I was fucking depressed. What movie was it? Resurgence?
Are you serious?
I don't know.
What did you just expect these people to be eternally one age the rest of their lives?
It was fucking depressing because I'm like, wow, fucking eventually my age is gonna show.
Your age is showing just in your general attitude, your speech, the words you decide to use, and when you try and act like you're any bit younger, it's very obvious.
It's not that I try to act any bit younger. It's that
no, you do.
There is no point in growing up if you can't be childish sometimes.
When somebody asks you your age and you just walk over it, you're very obviously trying to seem younger.
If a guy asks me, hey, how old are you? I'm like, okay, I'm 33. If a girl asks me,
are you 33 or 34?
Yeah. No, 33.
When's your birthday? June 8th?
Yeah.
Almost like the same as mine, I think, right? Yeah.
If a girl asks me, how old are you? I'm like, oh, I'm 23. And some girls actually believe me.
I mean, when I was 18, I'd tell people I was 22. Because I always seemed older.
Right.
And then when I was 22, I'd tell people I was 22. Like, I always wanted to be older. Because I always felt older than my peers.
Yeah,
like, at
me
least
too. But then I hit
mentally.
fucking...
Well, then I hit my severe drug problems. And I realized I'm exactly the fucking age that I am. Like, there's no hiding, like, my immature idiocy at 22 to 25.
Mature idiocy.
So.
Is there mature idiocy?
Yeah, I mean, you can be somewhat mature as far as socially and the way you talk to people, but then still in your private life make very immature decisions and immature mistakes that nobody ever sees, but are definitely still there. So I was socially very mature in non-drug settings, and then when the drugs came about, I was just clueless as to what I was doing, why I was doing it, all that, you know? So yeah, you could definitely grow up in a mature way, but definitely still be immature as fuck.
Does anyone ever really know what they're doing? We're all new at this thing called life, and
that sucks.
It's only one
that sucks that people don't teach the kids that. Like, dude, you'd never figure it out. Like, the object of life is to continue to try and figure shit out. Like, you should teach your kids and our youth like how to just continue, how to learn, how to question, and how to find out the answers to your questions. And if you don't find out the answers, find out what the right question was to begin with so that you can get to it. That's all life is figuring out the answers to shit. And people put so much stock in, you know, make the right choices, do this, do that. No, this is the right way. Like, motherfucker, you didn't do it the right way. You weren't able to finish college the first time. You went to 2 or 3 schools before you did, or you weren't able to get your full credits in high school. You got a GED and then went to college and got all that stuff. Like, there's a period of everybody's lives where we're just making mistakes and we act as if we'll never make mistakes again once we figure out life for like a month. And then the next month comes by, a whole new set of problems peeks its ugly head at you. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Motherfucker, you never knew what you were doing. Ever. We never know. We just have a better grasp on it today than we did yesterday. And sometimes the details of that changes enough to where the next day after that, you're back at square one.
Some people will tell you all the answers you seek are in the Bible. And I'm like, no, that book has no answers.
Ideology. No, it has a lot of answers. It has good answers. What it is a good, for me personally, it's good reference material as to how to live a life that is constructive in large-scale society. Which is what I believe religion was really implemented for to begin with, is to have a way for a community to connect with one another when they are at a loss for any connection. You know, we were different personalities. You like to hunt, I like to fish, you like to swim, I like to run. Like, we have nothing in common to talk about, but... You know, that deer over there was talking to us the other day we were talking about animus last time, like the belief that everything has a spirit, like that was the Native Americans. And then you get to the guy, like, well, we need to build this field and we're having issues with the field production. What can we do? Like, well, let's pray to the God of the fields, you know, and do it that way. And all of a sudden we've got something to communicate about with our neighbor who we were, you know, competing with for farmland and for selling our produce. But we're both having issues now. So let's bond over that. And how can we make this pain feel better? Like, well, let's talk about this beautiful thing that might be able to help us.
The pain away.
That's the problem with religion too. It dictates who you're able to fuck with and sleep with, and
you know, fucking
even talk with.
Hookers would actually fucking back in the day work for the church. Yeah, something about fucking your carnal fucking.
Oh yeah.
Sin.
I mean, there was such a short supply of priests at one point that the deacons, that were basically like junior priests, were finally allowed to conduct mass. And the thing about the deacons was that they're able to marry and perform the most of the things that a priest does, but they can't do the transmogrification of the blood to wine in the body of Christ stuff. They're not allowed to do that because they're not officially priests. They're basically the right hand of the priest. They're allowed to marry. And the idea used to be, I'm not sure if it still is, but the idea used to be that if the priest dies, if the wife dies, you're not allowed to remarry, then you have to become a priest. Like, so being a deacon is kind of a way around being a priest, but still be able to fuck a beautiful woman.
Yeah, that's
not a man though.
That's one of the reasons
still gotta stay away from the
why
men.
I don't fucking believe in marriage. It's like you can marry by the court, no problem, but then when it comes to church, like if it's so fucking sacred, fucking when it comes to church, you fucking marry, right? And then you fucking divorce because fucking court, whatever. And fucking,
all for the legal problems that it causes.
Yeah, and then you fucking can't remarry through the church until your fucking spouse dies, but yet still you're fucking married, or you can get married through the fucking court. Like,
yeah, I mean, me and my wife got married through the court for the taxes and for the regular legal reasons that you would want to get married before my son was born. Make sure that he's registered under my name. He's my son. I'm not entirely sure why we did it that way, but in the end, we still ended up having problems that first year of marriage. This or that and the other. And it wasn't the social contract that we signed that made us decide that this was worth working through and fighting for and becoming better at this monogamy for, but it was the fact that we went through these problems. We're able to talk it out and decided amongst ourselves, no court document, no church body to tell us that, hey, you need to work this out. Like, look, man, we can live a very depressed life fighting each other over this and not understanding why these problems occurred in the first place, or we can talk it out, realize where we were both coming from, why the problem occurred in the first place, whether or not it made any damn sense in the first place, and what we needed to do to fix it. And it was hard.
You don't need fucking government intervention.
You don't. But in a world chaotic and people jump to these serious relationships, it's like a warning, like shots fired across the bow to like youth, like don't jump into these relationships or you're gonna have a hard time and you're not gonna be able to just get out of it. And like, but we don't live in that society anymore. Like back in the day, if you married somebody and you ended up sharing your wealth and everything and you got divorced, the women didn't have rights. Like this was all to protect basically the rights of women, because back in the day it was very misogynist. I mean, I'm a broken record with that damn word, but in the end that's what marriage was supposed to be. Like it ended up morphing into this thing to protect the women from not being completely screwed over out of financial issues when they leave their husbands because they beat them or they are sleeping around.
Yeah, my fucking parents married very young because of me. Yeah, a lot of fucking people, or some people, I don't know, but people in general fucking wanted my mother to get an abortion, and my mother's like, no, I'm fucking keeping this thing. And then I happened. She was in the country, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted.
I just went off what you were saying and went on a rant, all right? Let's get back to it. So your mommy...
Yeah, my mother
was supposed to abort you, and they decided against it.
They wanted me to be aborted, but my mother was like, "No, I'm keeping this thing." And
it's the woman's damn choice who's having the baby in the first place. So good on her for fucking not giving in to idiot pressures out there.
Yeah, and then my mother's been here for what I was telling you is that she's been here for, I don't know, let's say 45 years, and she hasn't gotten her fucking citizenship yet. She's a fucking resident and everything, everything legal.
How does that work?
But you go take a test, and she hasn't gone to take the test.
She might want to do that.
I know. I'm telling her. I'm like,
cutting this out of the podcast. Is this dangerous to admit openly? No. I don't know the current laws
legal.
and details.
She's legal, and my father's a fucking citizen, so it's all.
She should, maybe apply for that. Well, if he's a citizen, then isn't she just married in as a citizen?
No, because they were married as Mexicans.
So they haven't been married here in the United States? Like as far as
I think
United
they
States
married
government is concerned,
through the court here and through the church in Mexico.
Wow, I got some research to do on this legalese crap. This is interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, because there are just so many steps. There's so many ways around the system. Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
especially back then. Right now, they're fucking. Or as the years progress, they're trying to tighten it even more. But fucking.
I mean, from the sounds of it, they kind of should.
They should. The thing is that.
Then why stop at the point where you're a resident, but then just stop and not get your citizenship? Is it a financial thing? Do you know if it's an expensive thing?
It probably is, because I hear that thing's not cheap.
Oh man, we should get your mom in for an interview. Is she English speaking? Otherwise, that'd be difficult.
Okay. That's one thing I was gonna fucking touch. Like, she's bilingual. Yeah,
you shouldn't touch your mother.
No.
Oh, she's bilingual.
She's
okay,
bilingual, right? She speaks Spanish and she sounds like a fucking Mexican. But then when she speaks English, she sounds like a Texan.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like
she got that drawl on her.
She has a southern accent.
Has it ever happened to you? You like, I went through a couple month period where I realized I was starting to put on a drawl, and I had no idea where it came from. It just felt a little more natural to talk like this, and I had never spoken like that in my life. It's very odd. These things.
But when I go home, fucking to.
But where did she? Wait, hold on. Where did she get this Texas accent from?
Because she was practically raised in fucking
like Amarillo. Where's Stephenville?
Depending on which route you take, it's about an hour and 45 from Fort Worth.
So right there in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, like an hour.
Surrounded by
Caucasians west of Fort Worth. What happened? Yeah, so that, and when I go home to fucking Stephenville, depending on how long I'm there, I'll fucking pick up the accent too, and I'll come back with a fucking.
So your parents don't live here?
They do. They live.
What are you talking about going to Stephenville for? Back home to Stephenville?
Yeah, when I go home and visit.
You say go home. Who's home?
Home. Fucking.
Who's home?
My home. That's where I
You
was
just said you don't live in Stephenville. You live here. So
right
it's
now
not your
I
home.
live here.
It's just very odd to say. I go back home. Like,
some of
is
us
anybody
are
still
on
living
probation
there?
and fucking stuck here, and they figured they might as well do a podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait till you're off probation so I can finally get a decent co-host here. Change that fucking Tony Frank shit to something that makes some goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Tony Frank. Fucking foolish ass. Well, this is all on you. Yeah. This is all on you. You're the one who pushed for this. I didn't want to do this. I had no interest in a podcast.
That was your idea.
That's neither here nor there. So, as far as your siblings go, what are we talking about with them?
Okay, well, they were both born here in fucking McAllen. So they're nothing special.
I mean, neither are you, but that doesn't stop you from talking your ass off on my fucking...
Oh, because I'm the fucking co-host. If you're not talking, I should be talking. Somebody should be talking at all times.
Why aren't they special? What do they do? Who are they?
Well,
are we divulging names?
Status, I don't know.
Marital status?
Well...
Sexual preferences?
My brother is fucking... I don't know how old he is.
Who is he fucking?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Is he a lifetime monogamous? I mean, a lifetime, what is it, asexual?
Maybe, I don't know.
Does he get any nookie from this side or the other?
Probably.
You have no communication with him?
I don't go around fucking asking him, hey, did you get late tonight?
Does he ever bring anybody around
No.
for fucking family functions? Does your sister? No, y'all are just estranged? What's the deal?
No, I'm not estranged.
Explain yourself.
I don't keep track of things that I fucking...
That have nothing to do with you?
Probably.
You narcissistic piece of shit.
Yeah, like
I mean, my family never checks in on me. Like, I've got 27 outgoing calls in the last month to my family members, and maybe like one from my mom or dad, seeing if I can watch the dog for the weekend or something when they go out of town. Like, that's all the contact I get. But I still make an effort to keep in touch. Now, it's a problem that I have with my wife, too. My wife's like, you make a lot of effort. You can wait till they call you. And, like, if I wait, I'm just waiting too long. I need to know about it. I feel like it's my obligation as the only brother of 4 sisters to, like, keep in touch and make sure that I'm representing myself in their life.
You should probably follow them on social media, your personal social media.
And I do. But I like that, the actual picking up a phone and talking.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You can get a conversation out in 5 minutes that takes you 25 5 to type out in text.
Sometimes, like, I remember everyone always, but then sometimes I'm like, hey, I should hit up this motherfucker and fucking on Instagram, and then I remember, oh, that's what stories are for. You know, you see their fucking daily life.
But that's all like with veneer on.
Yeah, it's what they want you.
I don't want to know
but
that
it's
stuff.
just the same in the conversation.
I don't need to know I don't need to know what's going on that's great in your life. Like, people don't need to talk about that. We experience the happiness, we enjoy the happiness, we crave more happiness. That's fine. The problem is when people are feeling inundated with these negative ideas, negative thoughts, negative feelings, and they're just bottling it up because they'd rather everybody think that they're happy. Like, dude, you're not supposed to be happy all the time. Happiness is over fucking rated. Enjoy being depressed. Enjoy being sad, because you can enjoy the fact that it's not going to last forever. You can come right out of it. Like, all it takes is one happy thing to happen. I say it to people all the time now. Like, just, dude, I hope you find you're happy today. I know you've been having a hard time. Just find a little bit of happy today. And if you find it, just lock into that and have that thought in your head all day, man. Like, you know, you don't have to focus on everything that's going bad in your day. Like, there's some beautiful moments. Just open your eyes. It's so, of course, easier said than done. I go through my fucking seasonal depression every once in a while. That's just hard to get out of. But
when you bump into someone, you're like, oh, hey, how are you doing? They're not going to tell you, oh, I'm depressed. My chick just left me and I got fucking thrown out of the house. Whatever. They're going to say, oh, I'm good.
Yeah. And then they say it in that one way, like, I'm okay. Yeah. Like, dude, you can't just use words to a tone that is counterintuitive
unless
to what
you're
you're
fucking
saying.
butt buddies and they're going to fucking tell you everything that's going on.
Even then, like, I got a great buddy, my son's godfather. I can't go to him every time. Like, occasionally, if it's too much, I'll hit him up for, like, just to vent. But even then, like, he's such a guy and, like, a dude. Like, he's a dude, you know? Like, he's alpha male. He talks to me like essentially like my father would, I guess. Like, oh, you know, buddy, it's just kind of the way things go. And actually, he's a lot more well spoken.
Yeah, that's part of the alpha male trait, that they take care of their people.
Well, he takes care of me like an older brother would, instead of like a peer that's my same age that would
like,
be
why
going
the fuck
through
would
it
I
at the same
take
time.
care of you? You're a grown ass man.
Exactly, and I love that because it puts it back on me at times when I. But if I didn't have him to put things back on myself like that, I would end up just whining and complaining to myself and to other people who whine and complain all day, and never really growing and becoming anything worth a damn as far as, you know, getting over my personal problems that are just in the moment. So that's why I say it's important for you to try and keep contact with, especially your family members, man. Because they're the ones that are going to come to your funeral, and I'd rather have a couple people there.
Well, they're the ones that are going to bury you.
I mean, hopefully they got, a little money put away for your burial.
I never understood.
Well, you're supposed to put money away for your own burial expenses.
Yeah. People that fucking are so into fucking nature and love fucking animals, so that they're fucking, when I die, fucking, I want to be fed to the lions.
Oh, they have these things there.
Yeah, and then I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? Your remains are gonna be shit.
I think
it's a circle of life. Like, no, that's not what it means. Circle of life is you're born,
man,
you
who's
get
that
old,
famous
you
actor?
fucking
He was a
die,
real
and your fucking kids carry on your legacy.
I want to say it was Heath, maybe not Heath Ledger. Who the hell was it?
Fucking Steve Irwin.
No, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Some famous dude who died, his daughter came out, and there was theories that they had taken his ashes and spread it along this area, and she's like, I don't know where that came from. We put him in this biosuit. And at first when they said it, I was like, oh, they're keeping him alive for when they refire brain cells in the future, and they're going to put his brain into a different body.
Yeah,
no.
Disney.
Apparently it's what it is a suit that they put the deceased body in. They bury it, and it has all the substrate on the suit that allows them to break down the toxins and materials in the body, and it grows like a garden of like mushrooms and foliage.
Oh yeah, that's
a little garden bodysuit
supposed to happen. Like fucking animal
naturally,
dies,
right? But they're like super eco people that are concerned about like the toxins that we put into our body.
I was talking about that now.
Like we drink so much alcohol, we take all this
advancement in technology, whatever. Well, now they'll fucking put you in a fucking bag and they'll bury that bag like essentially your body's a seed, and then
literally what I was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I just fucking remember that it's fucking that's what it is.
That thing you just said, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you didn't have to re-explain the whole damn thing. Yeah,
well,
pretend like I can explain myself well enough.
But no, I was because I saw it on the Facebook.
I think the idea of it was that it's mushroom substrate, because mushrooms have been known to you can take this certain type of mushroom to an oil covered land, and this certain type of mushroom will literally convert and soak in the oil and use it to grow, and it'll clean up the area. And this is new eco technology that's
fungus will grow on anything.
Yeah,
but it'll even grow on feet.
But that's the thing. It doesn't just grow
on pizza.
It doesn't just grow. It breaks down toxins in the environment. So mushrooms could end up saving this planet. I mean, if we learn to use them and utilize them properly. If we could have mushroom colonies along our beaches, where South Padre Island, 45 minutes away. I was just at South Padre Island this last weekend, and my buddy was coming back from the beach, and his feet were covered in black tar from the BP oil spill. That when they tried to clean it up, it all clumped up and went back down to the bottom of the ocean. Right. So every time high storms and whatever stir up the bottom, we get new waves of oil coming to beaches. I mean, it was. There's no. We're not going to clean that up in 5 years. What has it been? 8-9 years? It's going to take decades and decades to even attempt to continue cleaning that up, assuming that no other spills happen in that time.
Yeah. No, there have been spills that have happened since then.
So yeah, I want to be cremated personally.
A lot of people do,
but only for the burial costs, because it's really not environmentally.
Yeah,
great. It's a lot of energy to burn a body. Apparently. But maybe the mushroom thing would be cool.
Yeah, but
sounds expensive. I think it's $5,000, so it's a little more expensive than just a coffin.
They cremate you in what's essentially a tray, and then they pull it out and they sweep your fucking ashes into the
bag, right?
Vase, bag, whatever. And I've thought about it.
For cremation.
I'm like, how much of your ashes, how much of you stays on the fucking brush? How much of not you?
You're in the environment.
Is in the fucking tray before they put you on there.
You are literally dust as they're doing it. You're getting wafted into the air, blown around the rest of the world, or getting into air filtration
your
system. Your
ashes will be mixed in with somebody else's ashes.
Your ashes are. I mean, does it matter? Why does it matter?
It doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, you could chop. I mean, are you an organ donor?
No.
I am. So when I die, parts of me are going to be spread out anyway. It doesn't matter what the fuck happens to the rest of my body.
Well,
I'm not all there anyway.
The reason why I'm not an organ donor is because apparently, if you're in a really bad accident and fucking they can save you, since you're an organ donor, they just let you die and then take your fucking parts.
I think that's subjective to what the percentage rate of the procedures they have to do on you, and and whether the procedure is a higher percentage of being accepted in the person you're donating to.
There was this guy that got a tattoo,
which I'd be fine with. I think
I
think your family still has to sign off on it.
Do they?
Yes, if you have some.
If you're what happened with Salinas.
If you're dying and you're unconscious, the rights you have go to the person you put on your medical info. Who has the right to make those decisions.
Making sense. Yeah, now I remember. Because she could have been saved if they had just fucking if her parents could have agreed to fucking blood donation, and they were like, no, because of our religion, or at least that's the rumor.
Yeah. Did you hear about that with Gandhi? Gandhi did that with his wife. He was like, I think he was going on
well, that was meant to be.
I don't remember if it was a starvation thing or if it was an illness thing, but he was dying and he accepted the food or the blood, whatever it was, and then his wife, the exact same thing happened to, and you're like, oh no, she's not allowed to do that against our religion, and she died. I was like, Gandhi was a dick. Gandhi wasn't perfect. He wasn't Jesus. Everybody puts because they're holy figures that we put this pedestal way the hell up in the sky
as Jesus.
We're all assholes.
Jesus is Jesus.
We are all assholes. Lenin, Michael Jackson was a great musician, but he was kind of a prick in his private life. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently, he pissed off enough people for them to say it. So either way, he was a dick to somebody. I don't know the degree to how much dick he gave out there, but that apparently was a thing. He pissed off some people for one reason or another.
Speaking of fucking Gandhi and Tibetans, did you know my ancestors are fucking from Indochina?
Isn't it? Again, that's another one. Aren't all of our ancestors like from Asia too? It's Asia and African American. Like it's
because
all of our blood for some reason.
Russia and Alaska were connected by land.
Yeah, the land bridge, the Great Landmass.
Yeah, then what would become Native Americans or fucking indigenous tribes from America?
They would have been the Eastern Asian.
Yeah, they came from Asia, migrated. They walked through the
Alaska.
land bridge.
Yeah, they went from there up to Alaska, all the way across,
all the way down to the southernmost tip,
which is on
Argentina.
Yeah, but they came down from California through like the California region, right? Like Alaska, Canada. Down through the outside California because they passed all the mountain range. They went around the mountain ranges. They couldn't cut through all that and all that shit.
Yeah, watch. It says here, 0.1% Chinese and Southeast Asian, and 0.1% Siberian.
You know, so you do have some Asian. You complain. Now this is something I've got to bring up. I know it's a tangent, but I got to bring this up. You and that fucking the little icon. On the phone that we switch back and forth.
Yeah.
The guy with his hands on his head. I don't know, guy. Now you're not a blonde-haired, white-skinned kid. But you don't want to use the guy with the black hair because you say he's too Asian.
Yeah, he looks more Asian than anything.
So do you. You look way more Asian than you look Caucasian. I guarantee that.
Well, the whole Caucasian thing was because my I'm not fucking like typical Mexican fucking, or not typical Mexican, typical fucking Mediterranean fucking color. Well, I guess I am. Yeah, I am fucking Mediterranean, but it seems like a bit darker with fucking when you're tropical Mexican or tropical whatever.
Yeah, like you would think I'd be darker too, but my grandma is from Spain and she's Caucasian Spain.
Yeah, and then my father's mother's father was actually
your great grandfather.
Yeah, but I'm just fucking
on your father's
specific. Yeah, my father's maternal.
Oh, come on.
Anyways, the fucking the guy was from Amsterdam,
the Netherlands.
Yeah, and my grandmother, my grandmother's actually pretty fucking white. Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't know.
It's better not. Anyway. It's better if I just keep.
Yeah. So then my grandmother being half and half, she's fucking white, like half and half green.
White lightning.
Yeah, and then I'm like, fucking this guy looks fucking pretty fucking Asian. I'm
50
like,
Shades of Clear.
Yeah, I'm like that's a fucking Chinese kid. And then I went to the other one. I'm like, well, he's wide, but I'm not blonde. And I remember, I'm like, oh, I don't grow white hair. I grow red hair.
No.
Yeah. See, look at my beard.
I think you just get sun bleached. I think you get sun bleached hair follicles like normal people. You spend a good amount in the sun, your hair kind of tends to lighten up.
Yeah, apparently a lot of
hair
fucking
is dark though. You got like jet black hair naturally, right? I feel like mine's like
apparently fucking like against the sun, it's brown.
You're beautiful. Okay, so it's just lighting. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
So,
it's brown in the sun because
that's why I opted for the fucking blonde kid. I'm like, I'm not blonde, but I'm kind of
gingerish.
Yeah. So I'm Native American by way of China.
Well, from what I understand, my grandma on my mother's side, my maternal grandmother, let's be specific.
Okay.
Her mother is straight up Native American from the Blackfeet tribe of the Coahuiltecans that used to roam. The Coahuiltecans were just the blanket name that they gave all the Native Americans that roamed the state of Texas and California, this region. And the Blackfeet tribe was a small sect that apparently my grandma thinks she was a part of. And she told me that in passing one day before her Alzheimer's and dementia started to kick in. Alzheimer's rather, now the dementia's kicking in. But anyway, and I looked it up, and apparently Blackfeet tribe was actually a thing. I thought it was just something her mother would joke around like, sí, soy de la prieta, peta, or pata, prieta, whatever. I would always think it's just a joke. And then one day I looked it up, like, oh shit, there's a Blackfeet tribe. They're like more North Texas, but apparently they were traveling.
Oh, Coahuila is right there on fucking El Paso.
Yeah.
Which is where my mother's from. Not El Paso, but Coahuila. She was born in Coahuila.
Oh, that's right. We mentioned that. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I would love to look into that Native American.
So maybe that's where my mother's side came from, because I'm like, yeah, there's Native American, right? But here, because it's widely accepted that humanity began in fucking Africa. Right.
Not anymore.
Well,
no,
yeah,
not
anymore.
Now it's Asian.
Now
it's Asian.
Asian? Oh, because I read/heard that new evidence popped up or is suggesting that humanity also began in Northern Europe.
As this whole separate... I mean, it's so
different
convoluted
species of man.
Of
or breeds
hominid,
of man.
Or not hominid, homos.
Yeah,
not Homo erectus, not Homo degenerates like us.
Homo some shit.
Yeah. Actually, I started reading that. I went through the book *Sapiens*. I'd tell you who it's by, but I don't remember. So
you can always Google it. I'll continue. You had a phone.
Well, I'll continue this conversation as I'm doing that, so there's not an awkward pause like when you're looking at your 23 and fucking me.
Oh, like when you said fucking we'll be back after these messages and there were no messages.
That was because your shitty ass camera fell down and I had to hit pause. Did you forget the reason?
From fucking Amazon.
Yeah, you see how that goes? Hey, don't knock Amazon. We're gonna need their services. We don't.
Oh yeah, all this shit came from fucking Amazon. Love you, Amazon.
All this privacy. Oh yeah, we got our mics, our stand, our everything on Amazon. Can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Amazon Prime. You know that Alita chick, fucking Rosa Salazar?
I can't remember what I was doing.
She's from fucking San Antonio, actually.
Who did you call?
Alita.
I don't know who Alita is.
The movie, Alita. The chick that plays Alita. She's from San Antonio. Well,
Oh, that's not that close. You know who is more impressive from Terminator 3? That dude, the guy who played the new John Connor?
Oh, the guy from Harlingen?
Yeah, he's from Harlingen.
Yeah.
Along with who is the Men in Black. The guy, the white dude, Men in Black, Tommy Lee.
Oh yeah, he's from Texas.
He's from Harlingen
and then
too.
Fucking
we got some
from fucking outside San Antonio, like more towards that way.
No,
fucking you've seen the fucking previews to fucking
Yuval Noah Harari.
Okay.
*Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*, recommended to everyone. I hate to repeat that because it was on Rogan and he talks about it so often. I didn't want to be repetitive from other podcasts, but it's a damn good history of our ancestry and stuff. A little liberal leaning at times, but then he kind of swings all the way on things. So it's not a bad book if you can get past your little personal hangups on certain ideologies, and it's a really good brief history.
So I was saying the reason I brought up fucking Rosa,
she
was fucking. I saw her on the fucking Instagrams during Comic-Con. She was calling fucking Amazon Prime Daddy Prime, and I'm like, maybe we should start calling Amazon fucking Daddy Prime.
What brings up Daddy Prime? Why would she call it?
I don't know. She's kind of weird like that. She's kind of a pervert. She's very fucking likable though. Right? She's the kind of chick you'd want to fucking have a beer with.
So I think we've gotten into you enough. We've done, what is this, like 35, 40 minutes?
I haven't even touched anything on my fucking ancestry.
Well, we're an hour in here, so...
God damn it!
At an hour. I'm already going to have to cut things out.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and end it here, guys. Remember to follow us on social media. We got Instagram at CIPod Podcast, CIPodcast on Instagram. We got Twitter at Completely Inap. That's Completely INAP, all one word. You can find us on Facebook, Tony Frank, Completely Inappropriate Podcast, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Home, Google.
Oh, we're finally on fucking iTunes,
and we are finally available on iTunes.
Fuck yeah!
So if you're annoyed with the fact that you had to download Stitcher Podcast or any other app, you can go ahead and switch your iPhone right on back over to iTunes and enjoy us.
Yeah, and on Facebook, just search Completely Inappropriate Podcast. You don't have to look up the name fucking Tony Frank.
Yeah, YouTube. We'll still be posting on YouTube.
There's already two channels named fucking Completely Inappropriate.
Well, again, God damn it. All you gotta do is add podcast at the end of it.
Yeah.
People can differentiate the icons. By the way, last thing I wanted to touch. The icon. Are we going to... I'll touch you. I'll touch you. I'll touch you. Anyway, so as far as our icon goes, are you going to want to change that? Are we good for now?
No, we're all good. I was referring to my personal Facebook fucking profile pic.
Why? That's
because it's fucking stupid.
Profile.
So I'm like, now I'm gonna have to change it to
just to be more professional when people are. How about your name too? That's Spacewalker 42069. 1, you've never been to space. 2, you don't wear a cowboy hat. 3, you don't smoke marijuana. And 4, you are not 69ing anybody right now. Let's be honest.
Well, no, because I'm with you.
We could, but that's just the logistics of it, the timing. We got to get this podcast edited.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. I do. I have an issue. That's why we're doing this. So thank you, everybody.
I don't wear a fucking cowboy hat because I have a 10-gallon fucking head. They're okay now. Thank you. Bye.
Take it easy. Completely Inappropriate Podcast. Bye.